Like a phoenix, Berlin has risen from the flames of war and division to become Europe's capital of style and innovation. The fall of the wall in 1989 was the catalyst that has driven this artistic revolution. A revolution that has changed the city forever. Welcome to Europe's newest capital. This is Ultra Eye Berlin. Less than 2 decades after the fall of the wall, Berlin continues to transform itself into an entirely new urban landscape. It is now the center for German style, design, and art. As you explore the city from east to west, it's impossible not to see that scaffolding and construction dominate the city's skyline. Berlin has been called the world's largest construction site. Years of war and division have scarred the city, a violent history that is evident throughout the capital. On Berlin's Museum Island, in the heart of the city, is the Pergamon, one of the world's most visited museums. Unbelievably, the building still wears its World War II bullet holes, pockmarked in the building's facade. A few blocks west lies Germany's most famous wartime landmark, the Reichstag. Berliners have often referred to the magnificent Reichstag as their beacon of hope. Located in the heart of the city center, the Reichstag was built in 1894 to house the German parliament. In 1933, it was partially destroyed by a fire caught in the crossfires of World War II, and fell into ruin until it was partially restored in 1960. Following the collapse of the Berlin Wall in 1989, Parliament decided to rebuild the Reichstag as part of the German reunification process. A jury was selected for the design competition, and English architect Sir Norman Foster was chosen to redesign the Reichstag dome in 1993. Michael Cullen is the leading architectural expert in Germany who has worked with the Reichstag since 1971.
The dome was made to mark the spot where the parliament is in the city landscape. So it's about 50 meters high, about 150 feet, and it's made of steel and glass, the way the other one was, and its really major separating factor, the salient feature, is the fact that it has 2 ramps, one leading to the top and one leading back down, so that people can go up and look around the city, and they can theoretically look inside and see the members of parliament debating. I remember very much Foster being so much against it. And he said in an interview in 1994, after he had gotten the commission, that if they want a dome, they'll have to look for another architect. I was on the jury for that competition, and I pressed publicly in newspaper articles for a dome. And finally the Bundestag said, yes, we want one too, and they forced Foster to accede and to a dome, to design one. And he designed 27 different forms. And finally they chose this one. And this was what built, and it was finished, it was completed basically in 1998. And then it was glassed in. And then we've been going here ever since. And people stand in line for hours sometimes in terrible weather to get up here and just to be in the dome.
Foster's original vision was to create a structure that incorporates a dialogue between the old and new architectural styles. This sentiment runs throughout Berlin. Stylistically, the city is constantly balancing the old and creating the new. Across from the Reichstag stands the towering skyscrapers of Potsdamer Platz, an area that defines Berlin's leap into the 21st century. With the collapse of communism in the early 1990s, Potsdamer Platz became the cultural, social, and architectural focus of the reconstruction boom in Berlin. Corporate investors like Daimler Chrysler and Sony flocked to the area and embarked upon the rebuilding of the region. Sony decided to base their European headquarters in Potsdam and chose the prestigious architectural firm Murphy Jahn to design the magnificent Sony Center. The structure consists of 7 individual buildings, all canopied by a dramatic tent-like roof and supported by steel beams that resemble spokes of a bicycle wheel. The architectural center of the building is a central forum in the shape of a perfect oval that consists of 6 entrances, all open to the city. The entertainment arena consists of an IMAX theater, numerous shops, restaurants, luxury apartments, and office spaces. The building is all integrated around the former majestic Hotel Esplanade. Steffen Duemler is a principal architect for Murphy Jahn and was the local project architect during the construction of the center.
Well, the design idea for Sony Center, the real central idea for us was the public space, which was going to be open to everybody, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is the organization point where all the other buildings basically settle themselves around. And that as an oval central space is the key design idea for the entire Sony Center.
As part of the land purchase agreement, Sony agreed to incorporate the Grand Hotel Esplanade. Once the hub of metropolitan life, the hotel had to be moved to facilitate the construction of the main street in Potsdam.
So we had to move a 2-story masonry building over a distance of 70 meters with 2 directional changes into a new position. And we've decided on a new position which is not in the orthogonal grid of the old hotel, but slightly shifted, like a large piece of furniture, say a large sofa. You're moving into a new apartment and you don't know exactly where yet to put your sofa, and you just put it down somewhere, and it might be at an angle, so it creates a tension, and it's legible then for the passerby that this is actually not the place where it belongs.
World-renowned architect Helmut Jahn's design for the Sony Center was highly influenced by one of the greatest architects of the 20th century, Mies van der Rohe. This modernist influence is evident throughout the center's structure.
So in essence, we're looking at concrete structures with a variety of transparent facades. And I'm saying a variety because our facades all have the same handwriting, the same language and architecture, and they're developed out of, say, a couple of sets of details which repeat each other, but they're arranged in different forms. So out of this set of details, we develop a different language for each building, but they all relate to each other like a family. I can assume correctly that everybody notices that this is done by one architectural office, by one team of architects, with one great mind as an architect, Helmut Jahn, behind it, directing the efforts and making sure that the handwriting for the entire center is very clearly to be read. The light in the forum roof changes during the course of the day. When the sun sets, and in Berlin sometimes the sun sets in the winter around 3:30 in the afternoon, and you're still at work, the forum roof is lit white. As you stop working and you go into, say, the play part of the day, when the entertainment starts, when the cinemas start to open around 7 p.m., the light changes and it goes from a cyan color, which is a turquoise type of color, into a magenta, and it's a rotating, fluctuating movement back and forth, which is accomplished by a very special light fixture with a polar filter mounted in front. And that is the pulsating heart of Sony Center, which is in two, say, fun colors, which is during the entertainment phase. After the last show of the theaters, around 1 o'clock in the morning, that rotational movement slows down and then it changes into a Congo blue, which is a very dark blue, which is the dormant state of Sony Center, which we keep until 6:30, when presumably the first people come back to work. We go back to the white light because it's a more serious matter when you're at work, obviously.
Forum events in the Sony Center have become an established part of Berlin's event calendar. Over 10 million visitors came to Sony Center last year.
And a lot of Berliners come here from the outskirts and from the outer districts and feel like they're actually going to a different town than their old Berlin, but they love it.
Welcome back to Ultra Eye Berlin. Seeing Berlin today, it's difficult to imagine that Berliners did not officially rule themselves until German unification was recognized in 1990. After World War II, the victorious Allied powers occupied Germany, the USA, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union. Berlin was granted a special status. The city was to be divided and governed by all four powers together until the end of the Cold War. In 1949, 2 German states were created in Berlin. The Western powers ruled the Federal Republic of Germany, and the Soviet sector formed the communist-led GDR, the German Democratic Republic. During the years of the occupation, a wall was constructed that divided the city. The wall separated the German people geographically and symbolically. Stretching for more than 100 miles, it was surrounded by landmines and armed guards with shoot-to-kill orders. After the fall of the wall, Berliners virtually erased the wall from the face of the city. Today, the largest remaining portion of the wall is a preserved half-mile-long section known as the East Side Gallery. Created in 1990 in celebration of the wall's collapse, the gallery features works of art by both anonymous and internationally acclaimed artists from all over the world. The crumbling of the Iron Curtain inspired artists to express their reactions to this monumental event. When the wall fell, there was a massive burst of energy, and many Berliners fled the oppressive East for the opportunities of the West. No artist exemplifies that energy and blossoming of freedom better than fashion designer Tutu Wagner. Tutu attempted a dramatic escape from the communist-led East Berlin in the trunk of a car in 1979. Her attempt failed, and she was captured and arrested by East German police. After a year of imprisonment, Tutu was finally bought out as part of a prisoner exchange program by the West Berlin government. Caught up in the bustle and excitement of the opportunities in the West, Tutu began her fashion design company in 1984 in the heart of West Berlin. For the last 20 years, Tutu has been the grande dame of Berlin fashion, constantly redefining the style of the city. Each season, she invites clients to her home and gives them a sneak preview of her upcoming collections.
The developing of fashion, especially in Berlin, is very interesting because I started nearly 20 years ago. It was very exciting, two scenes in Berlin, the fashion scene and the art scene.
Berlin's cultural scene has quickly emerged as a rival to cities such as New York and Paris. Tutu draws much of her inspiration from her experiences in South America. She spent 2 years in Peru and Uruguay, developing her clothing line and discovered the power of colors. Today, that influence is incorporated into her collection and seen throughout her apartment through vibrant colors that reflect that energy.
A lot of my shapes and the kind of fabrics and the colors has to do with history. I love it to look at old Hollywood movies or old photograph books with star photos with Lauren Bacall or Greta Garbo. How they were looking was so beautiful making that this is always that if I look into new ideas, I look to the 30s or to the 40s or to the 60s. My inspiration in my collection is always to make a woman more beautiful. Of course, what else? To work as an artist or nearly much more as a designer, you need really freedom and the spirit of the free world. The fashion scene in Berlin in the moment is growing and growing and growing. And we have a lot of interesting young fashion designers with their own studios and little boutiques. And we have other influences, what is very exciting for us. This is all the East countries like Russia, Poland. And they come more and more into our city to buy things and to develop our fashion economy.
Traveling from West to East Berlin, new designer stores are emerging all over the city. Berlin's chic and sexy couture can be found at East Berlin's hottest store for ultra design, Thatcher's.
Well, I'm Thomas from Thatcher's Berlin. We are doing fashion, and this is my partner.
And my name is Ralf.
We are at our store here in Mitte. Berlin Mitte is the central part of Berlin where everything happens. business, museums, shops, and where most of the visitors from outside of Berlin go shopping.
And in Berlin, the fashion is more, it's younger and more creative than in other cities, I think. Because there are so many different designers and each of them has a different style. Because if you see, for example, the Belgian designers, they have a certain look. It doesn't matter who it is, but you see this is from Belgium. And in Berlin it's hard to tell whether it's from Berlin or whether it's from Tokyo or whatever. But I think in general you can say that it is for younger girls. The young girls are, was heißt denn frech?
Fresher.
Fresher? No, not fresh.
Yes, you say fresh.
Yeah, okay, if you say fresh. Yeah. Design for our clothes is for younger people and for people who have a slim figure, because otherwise it looks kind of strange. But now that we opened up the new shop in this tourist area and we see how the tourists look like, we think that we have to change a little bit our sizes, that we have to have a bigger size for the tourist women who are a little bit stronger, yes.
And of course, you always have the dream of the woman that you like to design for, which of course is slim and not fat, and of course has long legs and not short legs. But then you have all these women coming into the store, and after a while you realize that they're all beautiful, because a woman just has to discover how to be beautiful, and then she can be. And we're here to help.
Near Mitte lies one of the most famous landmarks in Europe, the Brandenburg Gate. The neoclassical gateway was designed in 1791 by Karl Gotthard and built to represent the triumph of peace. The gate is topped by the quadriga, a bronze sculpture of the goddess of peace on a chariot pulled by 4 horses. Despite years of restoration, the structure has not changed since its construction over 200 years ago. The gate was incorporated into the Berlin Wall during the years of the communist regime. Today, the area is full of life, pedestrians, tourists, and entertainers alike. The Brandenburg Gate serves as the entrance to Unter den Linden, one of Europe's most magnificent boulevards. Translated simply to Under the Linden Trees, this spectacular street runs from west to east, leading us into the historic heart of Berlin and central part of the city, Mitte. Traveling along the boulevard, one finds a myriad of shops, cafes, and the hottest eatery in Berlin, Restaurant Vau. Designed by master architect Gherkin Marg, the contemporary design of the space enables diners to indulge in luxury while enjoying Michelin-starred cuisine. Owner and chef Kolja Kleberg uniquely combines German classicism with French elegance, all enjoyed in a minimalist setting.
I was looking for a place I could put my spirit in and build my thing on my own. There was kind of a dream to have or to own and to run a restaurant in this historic middle of Berlin, because we knew that things would happen here again. When I talk about teamwork in the kitchen or teamwork in the restaurant, I could compare it with an orchestra. And I'm the director, who waves his stick in front of the musicians, and nobody knows what is he doing there. Because when you watch the orchestra, when you hear the music, you don't know what he has been doing. I have my first violin player, I have my second violin player, I have the one that rings the triangle. Everybody is important, and me, I'm a kind of spiritus rector, and we all together try to find a soul that we want to give to the customer. From south of Germany, here we have Saucier over there. Hello. And this is Punky Punk Denny. Here we are in the cold section called Garde Manger, and here we have our famous Berliners, which is kind of a donut without hole, stuffed with plum marmalade or with plum jam. JFK, John F. Kennedy said, "Ich bin ein Berliner," but I think he didn't think of those ones. Talking about my inspiration to dishes, first I have to say it's our inspiration, because this is, I have 30 employees, this is a teamwork. I have my 2 head chefs in the kitchen, and they work as well as me on the ideas, but our idea altogether is to follow the changes of the season. Work with scallops when they are good, when they are in season, work with lobster, work with the products, the vegetables from the surroundings of Berlin when they are in season and when they have the best taste. Majorange, wunderbar. So we do a kind of goulash or ragu of pumpkin, as it's pumpkin season, and potatoes. Got to be juicy, got to be a little spicy, with braised red peppers and with a little chili. And as boulette, which is the veal, how do you call it? The veal dumpling. This meatball is very famous for Berlin. We do a venison meatball because it's game season. Kernel or pumpkin seed oil, just to top it. And roasted pumpkin seeds on top. Okay. Sometimes I go there myself. There is a saying about what Berlin could ever be. I think it was Tucholsky who said it. He said, Berlin is never being, it's always becoming. And this is a symbol for this energy. It can never sit still, and it will never be ready. It will never be ready like a city like Munich or Cologne, relaxing in itself. There'll always be a kind of not ready yet. There'll always be a kind of construction site. But of course, on a construction site, there's always work going on. And I think this is the soul of Berlin that will live forever.
Welcome back to Ultra Eye Berlin. A predominant theme in the artistic renaissance that Berlin has experienced over the last decade is the availability of affordable working spaces. Free space in Berlin is seen as an artist's blank canvas. In this complex, even the sides of the building have become an outlet for this creative expression. Due to the incredible amount of space, a thriving art scene has developed in the revitalized Berlin Mitte district over the last few years. Sammlung Hoffmann is one of the greatest private art galleries in the world and serves as both a private home and public collection of contemporary art. In 1994, the Hoffmann family bought a turn-of-the-century factory building, completely renovated the space, and designed their home around their art collection. As lifelong collectors of modern art, Erika and Ralph Hoffmann always dreamt of one day owning a space where they could live with their art and also share it with the public. one can wander the maze of halls and rooms full of eccentric and contemporary artwork. The variety of work includes paintings, sculptures, woodcuts, and photographs by established artists such as Lucio Fontana and Peter Haley. All of the installations reflect the Hoffmans' personal tastes.
We wanted to experience that new development in Germany, the reunification of two distinctly different German cultures, and to not only take part in it, but maybe even contribute to it. And therefore, we thought of offering the experience which had been very important, or even essentially important to ourselves, looking at contemporary art, being intrigued by the questions it formulates, offering it to the people who had never been able to see this art.
Frank Stella's Of Whales in Paint is part of his Moby Dick series, in which he interprets a chapter from Herman Melville's great American novel. Another literary interpretation by Stella is the German classic, The Beggar Woman of Locarno by Heinrich von Kleist. The Hoffman Gallery is an eclectic mixture of styles and tastes. A collection that spans the 20th century and all its artistic mediums. Adjacent to Frank Stella's work is one of the leading artists of the contemporary Chinese art movement. Fang Lijun's untitled painting from 1999 powerfully represents feelings endured in a changing Chinese society. In recent years, contemporary Chinese art has moved into the forefront of Western critical acclaim.
That we conceived the idea we should be able, that was a priority, to live in our collection, but still offer similar possibility from time to time to the public. And therefore we opened our house. So we dreamed of having that, exactly that, and we were very, very happy that we succeeded here.
French artist Christian Boltanski's works often include artifacts connected to the Jewish community. In his Les Archives installation, the use of small lamps and silver tins leave it to the observer to imagine what the boxes contain. Across the room is a portrait of the Hoffman family, which adds a personal element to the space. It complements Boltanski's anonymous collections.
It's a wonderful stream of energy which is felt through this here. And that's also what I enjoy enormously. Even if I don't see any consistent direction all this development takes, but the energy is there and something will develop here.
Brazilian artist Ernesto Neto's works create a multi-sensory experience for the observer. In Neto's abstract, simple lycra stockings are filled with spices and stretched to the ceiling, filling the air with sweet scents. In his colonias, lead shot is placed in the stockings, giving the audience a sensation of floating. Isra Genskin's new designs reflect her architectural sensibility in the early 21st century. Japanese artist Shirahu Shiota's Second Skin is a dreamlike installation evoking a peaceful state of mind. Art can be found everywhere in Berlin. In the bustle of Mitte lies Berlin's one and only art hotel, the Künstlerheim Louise. When co-owner Mike Buehler first acquired the building in 1993, the first floor was rented out as artist studios. The Künstlerheim, which translates as artist's home, became known in the thriving East German artists community as an affordable space for artists to live and work. The rooms quickly filled up with working artists. Intrigued by the idea of expanding the building and in some way incorporating the artists into the process, the owners came up with a perfect solution. By having selected artists design their own studios, they could share the space with the owners who could rent out the rooms to hotel guests. The project was completed in 1995. And the result is one of the most spectacular art hotels in Europe. The Banana Room is by Thomas Baumgartel, who is known in the art world as the banana sprayer. He has been painting bananas all over the world, from the Guggenheim to Moscow. In Berliner Bedroom, Guido Sieber, who is a native Berliner, draws from his experiences and influences of life in Berlin. He paints ordinary Berliners, interpreting the experiences of the individual's daily life. Christoph Plotz nods to the future and functionality of life's organization with Standby. Trains zooming past the window and socks walking on the wall all infer that life's journey requires timed preparation and plenty of clean socks. Although much of the art scene has been centered in the heart of the East, recently there has been an emerging cultural surge in the West. The Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church has long been a symbol of Berlin's resolve to rebuild the city after the war and a constant reminder of the destruction the city endured. High-end art, fashion, and design stores line the main boulevard of Kurfürstendamm, and unique designers are now being drawn back to the area after experiencing a lag period during the resurgence of the East. In the nearby neighborhood of Kreuzberg, Berlin's top interior and product designer, Heike Mullhaus, chose to create her ultra-modern flat.
So this building was built in 1890, and it's a monument, this building. And I'm living in this building since about 10 years, and I started in the first floor and went up to the third floor, and now I'm up here on the roof. And this place actually is a penthouse. It's put on top of the building. The old roof came off, and this was built on top of it. What I really like about this place here is it has a lot of light, and it has very nice high ceilings. Every room has you can go to the outside, you can go to the terrace from every room. There's always glass on the outside, so yeah, that makes it very open. My style of design, I think, is pretty clear. It's modern, but it's not cold. It has always some emotions in it, and that's what I like. It has to be for people. You don't want to be an alien in your own space. As you look at this place, it has actually 3 different areas. One area is the office and studio area, and then there's an area in the middle which is used for private and business purposes. So, and then there's the third area, which is the private space with bedroom, kitchen, and that stuff. If you walk into this apartment, I want you to feel comfortable, I think, and to have room to think and a place to sit down and feel fine, feel gemütlich. First of all, the whole interior design is, of course, was my work here because that's what I'm doing actually. And then there are some of my pieces in this place too, like the bench, which is made of concrete and wood in this place, and you can also use other materials for it. Also, there is this fish pond. We have some fish that live outside in the summertime, but now they have to come in, and I did another one for them inside. Of course, I have pieces of other designers in the house as well, and there's one very nice piece, a lamp from Andreas Brandolini, which is above the stove, or there's this bench from Massimo Iosagini, he's an Italian designer. If I'm thinking about the art scene, that has always pretty big in Berlin, and of course we have more people now from the East, and I think this is mixing pretty well because they're all quite young people. Now people have the chance to just mix, and everybody can learn from everybody else's past, which I think is very interesting. We got a lot of interesting people coming from the East. Also, we found all these very good spaces in the East. I mean, spaces that were empty that you could take over and have a nice store or have a great room for parties and other stuff.
Nestled in the charming and secluded neighborhood of Grunewald lies one of Europe's most luxurious villas, the Regent Schloss Hotel. Built in 1914 as a private mansion, it was restored in 1991 under the artistic direction of Germany's world-renowned fashion mogul Karl Lagerfeld. A well-known enthusiast for beautiful old houses, Lagerfeld fell in love with the mansion at first sight. Known as King Karl in the fashion world, he designed for Chloe and Fendi and revitalized the legendary House of Chanel.
Karl Lagerfeld is the one who is known with a great tail and always used to used to have a fan, and he always said, you know, you just have to have a fan because all these people smoke continuously today. So he is the one that most people associate with a man with a fan. It was basically a liaison which was due to the friendship between the then general manager and between the owning families who had privatized this hotel, their friendship to Karl Lagerfeld. And Karl Lagerfeld said, don't even try to offer me a salary because you wouldn't be able to pay me anyway. So what I would like to have is a suite in which I can stay for the rest of my life whenever I'm in Berlin, whenever I wish, and this is the suite where we are in right now.
Restoration of the mansion's opulent interior include antique furnishings, lush fabrics, and original period art. 5,000 sheets of golden leaves were used in the gilding process.
The guest mix, which we do have in the Schloss Hotel 4 Jahreszeit in Berlin, is quite diversified. So it's a very interesting and exciting mixture. So we do have a great amount of children here as well, who all feel very comfortable, and like probably in any other castle where you're not allowed to do so, here you're allowed to play hide and seek, which is great for children. And also due to the fact that we are sort of tucked away as a hideaway in the residential area of Berlin, and not sort of in the city center, not one of the anonymous chain hotels, shall I say. We do have a great deal of celebrities who just come here because they want to be in privacy.
The Regent blends Lagerfeld's contemporary elegance with the traditional beauty of the hotel's original design. When the style-seeking elite are in Berlin's Grunewald district, Villa Harteneck has everything there is to offer in ultra-chic interior design. Founded in 1999 by Frank Stuve and Gisela von Schink, Villa Harteneck offers their clientele a unique combination of interior designers and talented architects, all situated in a seductive villa. Sibel Huhn is an interior designer and architect who is part of the Villa Harteneck team.
Our house is like you come in and think it's like a home. You have this different kind of bedroom, living room, dining room, but everything you can see in this house you can buy. It's everything for buying. So we have customers coming here on Saturdays and have a cappuccino, walk by, relax, and then you talk with them and then they say, okay, we just passed here in Veneer or in Berlin, we have a new flat and we would like to buy a sofa or a table. Then you say, okay, maybe we can look for your flat and see how we can organize your living. So that's the concept from Villa Harteneck.
Villa Harteneck's goal is to never be static. Incredibly, the staff rearranges the design of each room every day to keep up with the pace at which style is evolving in the city.
We have absolutely minimalism, modern furniture, and we love to put everything together. And that's also the concept, to have everything here. Everything is possible. Like here in Berlin too, everything is possible.
In a way, this change in fashion also comes from the change in the city.
There are so many people move to the East Berlin, creative people like where we live now in Prenzlauer Berg. There are so many young people working like in agencies or with music or with fashion, and a lot of fashion stores opened up.
These opportunities have made Berlin the European Mecca for design.
Berlin is open, is very welcoming. Berliners are in language extremely harsh. but they're extremely honest. And I think it's a very refreshing place.
When you walk through the streets of Berlin, you can feel this energy. You can feel this energy. The Berliner, it's himself. He just sits there and he looks at his city, how it's changing, and he loves it. But it's not the Berliner himself. It's the city working with the influences from everywhere around the world.
Berlin embraces this energy and is one of the most dynamic, multicultural cities in the world. Artists, designers, architects, and entrepreneurs have all flocked here in the last decade to embark upon the rebuilding of a great city. Against all odds, Berlin has survived the 20th century and emerged as the European capital of style. A city layered in history, but embracing the future.
To talk about the changes of Berlin in the last 14 years, from 1989 until now, is to talk about a whole world changing. There was always a horizon, reunification and Berlin being the capital. And strangely enough, something which you never reach, which is the horizon, Germany and Berlin managed to reach. They reached the horizon and they're there.
Coming up on Ultra Eye, Rome, the eternal city in the 21st century. See how it's forging into the future by building on its legendary past. Meet the twin architects who are giving this ancient city a fresh, modern flair. Visit a hotel that's making hell a chic destination. And party the night away in one of Rome's most exclusive clubs. This is Ultra Eye Rome.